Hi, welcome back to CS170 fall section. And we're looking at just the logistics and a couple of items to just informational announcements for week 12. So here we are. Here's our schedule. And you can see this week we're covering pivot tables and Excel tables. And I'm going to just point out a couple of different things here. Number one, I assume people are probably trying to catch up on their async lectures because they were probably focused on the hourly exam. I hope everybody did well on their exams. Been looking at some of the scores coming through. Looks pretty good so far. So let's see how everybody else does. And good luck to everyone. Hopefully everyone did well. And but people are probably catching up. And we also have Thanksgiving week coming up here. So hopefully that's more time for people to catch up on different things. Um, and if there's any questions, you can send me emails and whatnot, and we'll try to help out as much as we can. Some people ask me about quizzes. So just a reminder on the quizzes, if you missed any of the quizzes, they'll be opened up for a short period of time towards the end of the semester. You can see right here, all quizzes reopen on the 13th. Doesn't say when it's closed, but usually it's open for like a day or two, like a couple of days. And then the quiz will close back up again. So if you have some missing quizzes that you want to catch up on, pay attention for them to open up on December 13th. And then do try to bang them out. They're not going to be open up for a long time. They want to close it up before we get into the exams and not just right before the exams. If anybody has anything about like other exceptions that they have for whatever their situations is, you have to reach out sooner rather than later. There's really not much we can do if you reach out to us at the last minute and tell us about something. It reduces your options. So do let us know. Okay, so that's that. And I'll just remind you, remember we have the modules, right? On the left-hand side, you have modules, but I have it on my main page too. You can see we're in week 12 here. So there's stuff here for resources, and there's like a little tutorial for conditional formatting. And then of course, just another reminder, we have Thanksgiving break coming up for the 22nd to 28th. Okay, so keep that in mind there. And then here, I've added some slides here for the week 12, which is basically this here. And I'll cut it up into a couple of lectures. Not really sure how much I can put out like at the beginning of the week. I'm going to try to break it up into a couple of videos and try to get it out throughout the week. You know, my schedule's a bit challenged right now. We had a death in the family, and I got to do a lot of stuff related to like planning for the funeral and dealing with you know, various people you know, with the family and stuff like that. So my schedule is a little bit crazy right now, but I'll do my best to try to get my lectures out as soon as possible. And they'll be out. There's probably going to be one for pivot tables, and then maybe another one for Excel tables. Okay, so Excel tables kind of just builds on the, you know, when you do the data filtering on Excel, and then it just kind of extends that out a bit more. But I'll try to make sure I get that out for you as soon as I can. Just may not be at the beginning of the week. So that's that kind of logistic stuff. Now, the other thing I want to kind of cover today is a little bit more of a public service announcement. Okay. And, you know, some of you may hear about this around campus. You may not fully realize this, right? But most of your staff around Rutgers, like all around you, anyone who kind of works for Rutgers, most of them is going to be in some sort of union. All the unions are kind of forming like a coalition for Rutgers. So of course, like your professors, your TAs and whatnot, they could be part of a union. Okay. So for a lot of the faculty, there's actually two unions, but they're actually all together in terms of coalition and working towards like a contract with the university. So this is like kind of a public service announcement just to kind of let you know a little bit of kind of what's going on, and if there's things that you'd like to do to support your staff around you, like the professors, the TAs and whatnot. I'll show you something at the end for you to do that. Okay. So, for the part-time faculty, which there's a lot of us, that's part of this whole thing here, Rutgers Adjunct Faculty Union. Okay. Uh, so, what's that? What's an adjunct, right? It's essentially uh, anyone who's like a part-time teacher. Okay. So here at Rutgers, you can see these facts here. Basically, a good chunk of the undergraduate courses taught at Rutgers are taught by these part-time professors, lecturers, and whatnot. So there's about 2,700 of them at Rutgers. And, the salary-wise, it's not that great when you look at it relative to these things, right? So basically, this is what a regular full-time faculty would make non-tenure, okay? And then you have things like health insurance and retirement and whatnot. Whereas like part-time faculty at Rutgers, which are the adjuncts, they make about 5,600 a course. And if you normalize that in terms of like, if they were really working it as a full-time job, it works out to be about $40,000 a year. Okay, so it's about less, it's a bit less than half of what a regular full-time teacher would make at Rutgers, typically. And, I think there's any number of things that you can, debate about like the situation, but I think if you look at it from a teaching perspective, it's very hard for a part-time lecturer to make a living off of it, right? Now, for people like myself who have a full-time job, and it's not really counting on the Rutgers salary for much of anything. In fact, for me, it doesn't count for anything because I basically donate my salary to scholarships at Rutgers as a contributing alumni. I did go to Rutgers before. So the salary doesn't mean anything to me, but I have a lot of my colleagues who do actually need this for a living. And what they do is they end up teaching a couple of jobs here, a couple classes here at Rutgers, and they'll end up teaching at other schools, maybe even up in New York, right? Up in SUNY and stuff like that, and try to piecemeal enough classes to make enough money for, quite a hard living, right? It's not quite a great living, and considering how much time and effort they've invested into learning the topics, they have masters, PhDs, and whatnot. They are not really paid that well. And, you compare them to like the full-time professors, like I said, as it shows here, it's about half, less than half actually. And, what does that mean for you as a student? Well, you can figure what type of quality of education are you getting? If you have people that can't really afford to make a living as a teacher, you'll get different types of people that will be turning over quite regularly. The job security is not that great for a lot of these folks, and the turnover is quite great. So, you're not really getting people that may have been teaching for quite a long time, maybe getting enough training to have like the latest and greatest in terms of knowledge, best practice, and whatnot, both for teaching and actually in whatever field that they're teaching. So as you can see here, the way the university works in terms of like budget crises and whatnot, classes could be cut at the last minute. The staff the teachers don't even know that they're going to be teaching until some of them, they don't even know they're teaching until like the first or second week of class has already started. So it's not really a great situation in terms of providing like enough classes for the students to take. Some of you might have had a hard time getting into this class, which is a required class, but there wasn't enough like teachers or teaching assistants to be able to increase the number of classes for this class. So all that kind of plays out into this. And so, the contract year is coming up for next year. And so the union is organizing and trying to get support from students and whatnot to get better conditions, working conditions, so you can attract and retain good professors and good teachers to give you more classes, give you smaller class sizes, and just all around better quality teaching. So something for you to keep in mind. And this just kind of talks about some of the other universities that have had like student organizations to support these type of initiatives. So here's a little bit more about like what you can do if you're interested. And you can go to this link here, okay? And I'm going to give you a QR code in a second. And they're actually having a little session here. You can just kind of show up and there'll be like different people who are part of this, who are experts on this, to kind of just give their perspective and give some information about a bit more about what I just highlighted here. You can follow on social media and you can contact, this is our student organizer, Anjali Magdala. She has an Gmail right here, okay? So if you can scan this QR code, or you can go to here, right? Either one, it'll just kind of bring you to like a page that has all these different options that you can choose to support this initiative to basically bring a fair contract to your part-time lecturers, your adjuncts for next year. Okay, so anyway, I don't want to spend a whole bunch of time on this, but I want to kind of put this out there again as my public service announcement. And yeah, and look, this has nothing to do with your grades or your classes. There's not obligation for anyone to do anything. It's just information out there. If you like to support, that's great. If not, that's fine too. Okay, so thank you for your time. And I'm gonna hope to maybe try to crank out one of the lectures at least tonight. Let's see how it goes. All right, thank you. And I'll talk to you soon.